The sacred timeline.
Before the multiverse existed, there was only one timeline, the sacred timeline. This wasn't just the main MCU timeline you've been watching since Iron Man. It was the only timeline allowed to exist, period. Here's how it worked. A powerful being called He Who Remains created the Time Variance Authority, or TVA, to act as cosmic police. Their mission was simple: monitor reality for any Nexus event, a moment where a single choice could split the timeline and erase it before it could grow. They called this pruning, but really, it was universal genocide. Entire worlds, entire histories, snuffed out before anyone ever knew they were there. He Who Remains had once seen what happens when timelines branch freely. In the distant past, countless variants of himself, all calling themselves Kang, waged a multiversal war that nearly destroyed everything. Each one believed they should rule all realities, and the fighting only stopped when He Who Remains weaponized a creature called Alioth to devour entire timelines, leaving only one. That was the sacred timeline's true purpose.
Loki Season 1.
When Loki and Sylvie arrived at the Citadel at the end of time, they didn't find some gloating tyrant. They found He Who Remains, old, weary, and almost relieved they'd made it this far. He offered them a choice: kill him and unleash chaos, or take his place and maintain the prison. And he wasn't bluffing. He showed them what would happen if the sacred timeline fell. Every erased Kang would return, and the multiversal war would begin again. Sylvie didn't care. She had spent her entire life running from the TVA, watching them erase universes like typos in a book. To her, the man before her was the architect of countless murdered realities. So she did what locusts do best, chose chaos over control. The moment her blade pierced his chest, the sacred timeline didn't just crack, it detonated. Branches that had been suppressed for thousands of years exploded into existence. At the TVA, monitors lit up in a frenzy. The single neat line they'd protected for eons was gone, replaced by infinite branches spreading at impossible speeds. Variants of every person who had ever lived were suddenly out there. The orderly universe they'd maintained was dissolving into beautiful, terrifying chaos. And without He Who Remains, there was no one left to control Alioth or keep the most dangerous variants contained. Kang was coming back. Not just one, but all of them. The TVA tried to fight it, but for every timeline they pruned, 10 more took its place. The multiverse wasn't just born, it was set free. And somewhere in that chaos, the Kang variants were beginning to wake up. The war to control everything had already begun.
What if?
With the sacred timeline shattered, infinite realities burst into existence. The first glimpse of this new multiverse came through Uatu the Watcher, a cosmic being sworn to observe, never interfere. Each What If episode showed how one choice could create an entirely different universe. Peggy becomes Captain Carter, T'Challa becomes Star-Lord, Doctor Strange loses Christine and turns dark. These weren't just fun alternates. They were proof that infinite possibilities had been locked away, but some realities spawned genuine threats. Supreme Strange absorbed dark entities to save Christine, becoming powerful enough to destroy his universe. Infinity Ultron acquired all 6 Infinity Stones and began wiping out life across multiple realities. When Ultron started punching through universe barriers, even the Watcher broke his sacred oath of non-interference. He recruited variants from across the multiverse, the Guardians of the Multiverse, to stop him. This was the first proof that universes could cross over, that reality's walls were thinner than anyone realized. And if beings as powerful as Watchers were abandoning their oaths, something much worse was coming. The multiverse wasn't just infinite anymore.
Spider-Man: No Way Home.
The multiverse's instability hit the main MCU timeline when Peter Parker made one terrible mistake. Asking Doctor Strange to erase everyone's memory of his secret identity should have been simple magic. Instead, Peter kept interrupting the spell, corrupting it completely. Rather than making people forget Spider-Man's identity, the spell started ripping holes between universes. Suddenly, villains from previous Spider-Man franchises, Green Goblin, Doc Ock, Electro, were getting pulled into the MCU. Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man arrived too. This was the first time the general public saw proof that alternate universes existed. The sky was literally tearing open above New York, with chunks of other realities bleeding through. Strange barely managed to contain the damage by casting a spell that sent everyone back to their home universes. But the cost was devastating. To fix the multiverse, Strange had to make everyone in the MCU forget Peter Parker completely. Not Spider-Man, Peter Parker. No friends, no family, no Avengers backup. He became a ghost in his own life. The real kicker? A piece of Venom's symbiote got left behind in a Mexican bar, proving that multiversal crossovers leave permanent scars.
Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
While Spider-Man accidentally cracked the multiverse, Wanda Maximoff decided to sledgehammer it completely. Corrupted by the Darkhold and desperate to find her children, she began hunting America Chavez, a teenager with the power to travel between universes. Wanda's plan was simple: steal America's powers and jump to a reality where Billy and Tommy were alive, but her methods were brutal. Using dreamwalking, possessing alternate versions of herself, she murdered her way across realities, including a universe where the Illuminati ruled instead of the Avengers. When two universes get too close, they collide and destroy each other. The Illuminati revealed that their Doctor Strange had caused an incursion and died for it. Wanda didn't care. She slaughtered the entire Illuminati, Professor X, Captain Carter, Black Bolt, Mr. Fantastic, with ruthless efficiency. The crisis only ended when America showed Wanda a universe where her children existed, and they screamed in terror at the sight of her. Realizing she'd become the monster in every reality, Wanda destroyed the Darkhold across all universes by collapsing Mount Wundagore on herself. But Strange's own tampering with the Darkhold had consequences. In the mid-credits, Clea appeared to tell him he'd caused an incursion. The multiverse wasn't just unstable, it was actively collapsing into itself.
Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania.
The quantum realm revealed itself as more than a microscopic dimension. It was a multiversal crossroads. And trapped there was the very threat He Who Remains had died to prevent: Kang the Conqueror. This wasn't the tired, reasonable variant from Loki. This Kang was a multiversal tyrant who'd been conquering and destroying timelines until his own variants exiled him to the quantum realm. Janet Van Dyne had encountered him decades earlier, helped rebuild his ship, then sabotaged it when she realized what he truly was. Kang's philosophy was terrifyingly simple. He destroyed universes to prevent worse Kang variants from rising. From his perspective, multiversal genocide was mercy. Better he rule through destruction than let chaos consume everything. The Ant family managed to defeat Kang, seemingly killing him in the quantum realm's collapse, but his death only made things worse. The post-credits revealed the Council of Kangs, thousands of variants gathering in a mysterious arena, furious that one of their own had been murdered. Immortus, Ramatut, and the Scarlet Centurion led this council of the most dangerous Kangs across the multiverse. These weren't random variants. They were organized, powerful, and now united by revenge. Kang's death wasn't victory. It was a declaration of war. The multiversal conflict He Who Remains had prevented was now inevitable, and every Kang variant was choosing sides.
Loki Season 2.
With timelines branching uncontrollably and the TVA in chaos, Loki began time-slipping, bouncing between past, present, and future uncontrollably. Loki and his allies found Victor Timely, a 19th century inventor who was actually another He Who Remains variant. Victor held the key to rebuilding the loom and stabilizing the multiverse, but every attempt failed. There were simply too many timelines for any system to control. With no other options, Loki made the ultimate sacrifice. Using his time-slipping abilities, he walked through the temporal storm, destroyed the loom, and took direct control of the branching timelines. In a stunning transformation, Loki became a literal god sitting at the center of time, holding infinite timelines together like the roots of Yggdrasil. He saved the multiverse by becoming its anchor, forever alone at the end of time, ensuring that every reality could exist. The TVA was rebuilt as protectors rather than pruners, dedicated to safeguarding the multiverse instead of controlling it. But Loki's sacrifice came with a cost. The most dangerous variants were still out there, and now there was no system powerful enough to stop them. The multiverse was free, but freedom meant chaos was coming.
The Marvels.
The multiverse's instability reached Earth when Darben used quantum bands to tear holes between universes. Each rip merged parts of different realities, Hala's ocean replacing Earth's atmosphere. To stop the tears from destroying multiple worlds, Monica Rambeau had to fly into a collapsing rift and seal it from the other side. The heroic sacrifice worked, but it stranded her in an entirely different universe. When Monica woke up, she wasn't in the MCU anymore. She was in a reality where the X-Men existed, specifically the Fox X-Men universe. Her mother Maria was there too, now calling herself binary, surrounded by characters from the previous X-Men films. This was proof that the multiverse was actively merging realities, pulling heroes from one universe into another without warning.
Deadpool and Wolverine.
The Fox X-Men universe was dying, and the reason was terrifying. Wolverine was dead. Not just dead, he was what the TVA called an anchor being, the foundational character holding his entire reality together. When Logan died in 2029, Earth 10,005 began slowly unraveling. Deadpool discovered this cosmic truth when TVA agent Paradox recruited him for a mission. Without an anchor being, universes don't explode. They decay over centuries until nothing remains. Wade's reality had maybe a few decades left before complete dissolution. Desperate to save his world, Deadpool found the worst Wolverine, a variant who'd failed to save his X-Men and lived with that shame. Together, they ended up in the Void, that multiversal dumping ground from Loki, where Cassandra Nova planned to use Alioth to destroy every reality except the empty wasteland she ruled. After stopping Cassandra's multiversal genocide, both Deadpool and Wolverine became anchor beings for Earth 10005, stabilizing the Fox universe through their combined presence. But the real revelation was how many realities were already dying.
Thunderbolts.
Earth 616 found itself with a hero shortage. The original Avengers were gone. Into this vacuum stepped an unlikely team of anti-heroes: Yelena Belova, Bucky Barnes, Red Guardian, Ghost, Taskmaster, and John Walker. This wasn't your typical superhero team. These were broken people with dark pasts. The film focused on character-driven action while mostly ignoring the multiverse chaos happening around them. But the post-credits scene changed everything. The newly christened New Avengers spotted the Fantastic Four's spaceship entering Earth 616's atmosphere. This wasn't just a cameo setup, it was proof that the multiverse was actively pulling heroes from other realities into the main timeline.
Fantastic Four.
The Fantastic Four didn't originate in the main MCU timeline. Their story took place on Earth 828, a retro-futuristic reality stuck in the 1960s where sci-fi dreams had collided with mid-century modern design. In this world, Reed Richards, Sue Storm, Johnny Storm, and Ben Grimm became cosmic explorers in an era of accelerated scientific advancement. Their first major threat was Galactus, the Devourer of Worlds. After defeating him by teleporting the cosmic entity to the emptiness of their own universe, the team didn't stay in Earth 828. The Thunderbolts post-credits revealed their ship arriving in Earth 616. The multiverse was actively recruiting defenders just when they were needed most. Franklin Richards, Reed and Sue's son, possessed reality-warping powers that could rewrite universes themselves.
Doctor Doom's Multiverse.
All of this chaos, every collapsed timeline and multiversal war has been building toward one man's ultimate plan. Doctor Doom isn't just another villain, he's the endgame the multiverse has been careening toward since Sylvie killed He Who Remains. While heroes struggled to save individual realities, Doom has been watching the multiverse tear itself apart, waiting for the perfect moment to impose his order on infinite chaos. The Kang variants think they're fighting for multiversal dominance, but Doom sees a bigger prize, ruling not just one timeline, but every timeline that survives the collapse. The Thunderbolts' New Avengers. The Fantastic Four from Earth 828, the surviving X-Men, they're all being pulled toward one final confrontation. The multiverse isn't sustainable in its current state. It's too big, too chaotic, too dangerous. Something has to give, and that something is likely Secret Wars, where every remaining universe will collide in one final battle that will either save reality or destroy it completely. Everything we've watched since 2021 has been leading to one question: when infinite realities go to war, what's left standing when the smoke clears?